Alright, hello again. This is going to be my third tutorial of the series so far. Today we're going to go over a little more of an advanced concept known as lofting. So maybe right off the bat I'll show you how to generally use it just with a short example, and then I'll actually show you how you can use it to make something that you may see in real life. Hopefully when we're all done, we can show you how to make something like this, some kind of quick boat fin that I put together here. So this is something that the lofting tool can really enable you to do, make these really complicated curves and shapes and stuff like that. So hopefully let's get a better view on that. So we can do something like this, and hopefully get you doing something like that. So that'll be the end goal here. So let's get started. We'll start by making a just a short example here. So as before, you're going to want to open your FreeCAD up and start a new drawing. So first I'll show you how to use it. The lofting tool can be found in the part workbench. These are the two tools here. This is the only one we're going to be using today. This one's a little more advanced, and if you want to make a loft over a particular path, then you can use this, because this one really will just find like the shortest path between the two drawings that you make, whereas this one will actually sweep it along a path that you predefine. Maybe later on I'll make a tutorial about the sweep, but for today we're going to do the loft. So the loft, really you need a minimum of two sketches to make to actually loft from one to the other. So we're going to do something simple today. So again, just start with a sketch, choose it on any plane you wish, do the XY plane. I'm going to make a simple circle here first. I'm going to constrain it as before, so I'm going to give it a diameter here. And since I attached it to the center there, it's fully constrained and knows where the circle is and how big it is. So once I'm done that, I'm going to exit out of that sketch. So there's one sketch, and then I'm going to make a second sketch, but I'm going to offset this sketch. So it's going to be not on the same plane as the circle was made. It'll be, the new plane will be parallel to this plane, but it'll be offset by however much we decide. So I'm going to go reverse direction so it pushes it into the page. It'll be easier to see, and maybe I'm going to go make it 50 mils or something. Click OK there. And so if I rotate this, you'll see that the plane I'm sketching on is actually indeed offset from the previous sketch, so it's behind our sketch a little bit. So this will and this is ideally what you want. You want two sketches that are offset. And in this case, I'm going to make a rectangle here, or a square. I'm going to constrain it as before. In this case, I'm going to use the symmetry tool to make this a nice square, or a nice cube. Square, I guess. And I'm going to make these two sides equal, which should make it a perfect square. And then I only have to define the length of one side, which should make it fully constrained. And as you can see over on the solver here, it's fully constrained and it likes everything. So now I've got my two sketches. You can see they're kind of apart here. The loft is going to generate an object that will essentially connect these two sketches. So essentially the object between the two sketches is going to kind of morph from a circle into a square. So now I'm going to go to my part workbench, and I'm going to select make sure nothing is selected, like none of your sketches are selected, and then click the utility to loft tool, and then it should bring up a menu like this. And if you have more than 3 or 4 sketches in here, you're going to want to make sure that you kind of move them over in a linear fashion. So the sketches that you want to loft, you're going to move over, and the order you move them over in will define how it makes it. So if I had 3 of them and I did the inside one first, and then the left side one second, and then the right side one third, it would try to loft an object from the center to the left to the right. So if you want it to go, right, center, left, then you make sure that you move them over in that fashion. So I want it to start from this one, and I want to move it to this one. And then once you're done there, you can, if you click OK now, it'll just make a surface. Ideally, I'm going to want to make it a solid so that I can actually work with it later. And so I'm going to check the create solid box, and I'm going to click OK. And you can see that instantly it makes this really advanced shape. So if I'm just going to unhighlight the sketches here by hitting the space bar, which makes them disappear. And you can see this really complicated shape that I've been able to make from it. So you can, and that was just a couple of steps that was really easy. So let's see if I can show you the shaded version. So you can see that that's a really complicated shape that you would really have a hard time using revolves and just extrudes. So this can be a very, very unique tool. So that, and you can use it to make really interesting things. So now I'm going to show you, maybe I'll do one more example, and then we'll move on to something that we can actually do with it. So again, we're going to go back to our sketcher. We're going to make a sketch, XZ plane, and maybe this time I'll make a half, make an arc. It's going to start from the center here, come from that side to this side. It's going to be something like that. Define that, and apparently there's one constraint that's redundant, so I'm going to delete it, and it's fully constrained like that. So now I'm going to make another sketch, and I'm going to offset it 50 mils or so, whatever you want, whatever you need it to be. And I just noticed that my other sketch isn't showing up. It's okay. It'll show up here in a second. I'm not sure why it's glitching like that. And so now I'm going to make another rectangle here. Give it a height. Give it a width here. Okay. Give that one a height as well. And maybe I'll define this, and that's fully defined there. Okay, so that's nice. Now I can close that. So for some reason my 2 sketches aren't showing. I'm not really sure why. It's probably just a glitch of FreeCAD. If you run into this, just save your work and exit out of the program. I'm pretty certain the lofts should still work here. So I'm going to move to the part. I'm going to go loft. I'm going to do that sketch and that sketch. I'm going to create a solid. Go OK. So there's the solid. It's made from those 2 sketches. So you can see that that's a really, really complicated shape that you'd have a hard time making with basic tools. So that's something to consider. So I'm just going to so for the next task, we're actually going to I'm going to show you how you can use this for something complicated. The moment I'm just going to restart FreeCAD here just to try to get rid of those glitches. I'm not really sure why it's glitching. Maybe it needs an update or something. But if yours does that, just restart it and it should be okay. So, so again, this time we're going to make that prop that I showed you before, or that boat prop or something like that. So start with your sketcher. Right now we're just going to make one fin, and then we're going to duplicate that fin a couple times, revolve it, and put it on a cylinder. So to make the fin right off the bat, you need to start with a sketch. The way I did it was just making a really skinny rectangle. I'm going to do one just like this. So I'm going to make this one symmetrical about those axes there. So just to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to make those sides also symmetrical about the middle axes there, just so it's all kind of centered and nice and square. Then I'm going to make that a certain width. Maybe make that 1.5 mils. And let's see, I'm going to make this a height of about, sure, let's do 50 mils. And everything is fully constrained there, so it likes that. So you start with something like that. This is going to be the base of our fin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another sketch here. I'm going to do the reverse direction and offset it by maybe 80 or so. And so now this becomes a little bit tricky. So what we're going to want to do is, as you can see, the plane we're sketching on it is way back here. It's behind this sketch. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make another object, and it's going to make a twisted plane between these two things here, right? So the next one we do is going to have a bit of an angle. So to make things easy, I'm going to make a couple of construction lines so that everything can line up nicely. So I'm going to start with construction line there and a line there. I'm going to make these two lines perpendicular, just with that constraint there. And then I'm going to select the two lines, and I'm going to make them construction lines by clicking this button right here. And so now, and I'm going to give them a length as well, so that the computer knows to keep them that length at all times. And kind of, in order to fully constrain everything, you need to make sure that these are okay. And then I'm going to define an angle between those two planes there. I'm going to go 150 degrees, which is like a 30-degree angle on the prop. Actually, let's make it 135, which does it give you a 45-degree? Yeah, that should give you about a 45-degree angle. So we'll do something like that, something really twisted. So, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another square that's similar to this one. But you see, this is in a different plane. So I'm just going to use my polyline here, and I'm going to kind of make a rough shape, and then I'm going to constrain it so that it looks just like the other one here. Okay, so now that's a closed surface there, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these two sides, or these 2 points here, symmetrical about this line here. And I'm going to use the symmetry constraint, and then I'm also going to make these two ends here parallel. I'm using the parallel button, which is up here, makes a parallel constraint between two lines. So it's made those parallel. And then I'm also going to make these 2 points here symmetrical over this line using symmetry constraint. It doesn't seem to have liked that. I'm just going to go back one here. And before making that, I'm going to make these two perpendicular, so that kind of makes things a little bit nicer. I'm not quite sure why it's not liking that. So I'm going to delete these parallel constraints and try something else here. Let's see if I can't make these 2 points mirrored over this one here. Give that a try. Okay, that's looking better to what we want. I'm going to make these 2 lines parallel here, and then I'm going to make these 2 lines here parallel. And zoom in and actually get that line there. It doesn't quite like that, so I'm going to maybe just make these equal. Actually, yeah, first I'm going to give this one some dimension so that it kind of forces it to be the way it is, so that it doesn't try to collapse it, because obviously there's two solutions here, and one just happens to be when this length is quite small. So now I'm going to try to make these parallel here, which should make this a little bit nicer. There we go. So exactly what we're looking for. I've only got 1 degree of freedom left here. So I'm going to make a length from there to there. And I think we made them 50, if I can remember correctly, in height there. So now essentially this is the exact same thing that we've drawn before. It's just been twisted. And so as you can see, there's an offset there. And so when we loft this, we're essentially going to get a plate that's been twisted by 45 degrees. So the sketch has been fully constrained over on this side, so I'm going to close it out here. I got my 2 lines there, and in order to loft this, I'm going to go to my part workbench and make sure everything's unhighlighted, and then we're going to click the utility to loft, and we're going to select the sketches that we want to loft. We're going to create a solid object when we do that, and I'm going to click OK. And so as you can see, I'm just going to unhighlight the sketches here, or just make them disappear. We've got a piece of plate that's essentially been twisted. And so we've created a solid object here, so something that we can certainly use. So you can see that, yeah, it's very nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially kind of cut to jig out of it this way. Make it kind of all rounded and actually look like a fin. So to do that, I'm just going to go back to my Sketcher workbench, and I'm going to make another sketch, and I'm going to be sure to make it in the ZY plane, or the YZ plane. No offset, it can be just in the center, it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an object that looks like a fin from this direction here, looking down the X plane here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use Boolean operations to get our final design there. So click OK. I'm going to adjust the transparency of this so that you can actually see the sketch I'm making, or you can just make it disappear. It's up to you. It's kind of semi-transparent now, so and we're going to go back to our Sketcher still open here. So let's make something here. I'm going to use my polyline. So I may have mentioned before, but if you hit M while using the polyline, it changes what type of line you're using, right? So right now it's a straight line. If I cycle M, it'll do a line that's defined by those 2 points, or it can do an arc, or it can do a circle, an inside circle, or a straight line again, back to where we started. I'm going to do the arc, and I'm going to cycle again to do another arc, and I'm going to cycle it again to do another arc, and then I'm just going to do a straight line if I can find it here. Oops, oh, I missed it there. There it was. There it is there. So I'm going to put the line down like that. I'm going to exit out. I'm going to drag this over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach that to there. Just like that. And then I'm going to attach these 2 points here. Make them coincide. Alright, so we kind of got something that looks like a fin, right? And if we were to kind of do like a cookie cutter out of our thing here, you'd see that we'd get a really nice looking kind of boat fin. So this is going to be a little bit tricky to constrain, but essentially, since I like the shape and I don't really need to make any measurements or anything like that, I'm just going to see if I can find my view here. I'm just going to kind of lock down these points and just kind of set them the way they are, because I really like what I've drawn out here. I think this is going to look like a good fin, so I'm going to do that. And I might even actually move this one just a little bit, just to kind of get it the fin shape there. Close enough. Alright, so in order to constrain this, all these arcs can be defined by a diameter or a radius. So I'm just going to click on each arc, and I'm going to just allow it to define the radius that it has right now because I like the way it looks. And maybe I'll lock down this point right here, give that a height, give that line a height since it's already locked to this line as well. Give that one a length there too. So far looking good. I'm going to give this one a height as well, try to lock that down. So I still got 3 degrees of freedom. Guess I can try to move stuff around. So obviously these heights maybe need to be constrained, so we constrain that height there. And maybe constrain this one. Give that one a height as well. And there's 1 degree of freedom left. So essentially where this goes, so I'm just going to define this horizontal length over here. And you can see that it's fully constrained and it likes that. So there we got kind of a nice fin shape. So I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to, as before, we're going to go to our part workbench, and we're going to actually, sorry, I'm going to go to the complete workbench to get some of the other tools that we were using before. See if I can't move these around a little bit. I hate how it always changes this. I haven't quite figured out how to change it yet. Put everything back the way it was here. So this is the one I was looking for here. So we're going to make a pad out of this. So I'm going to click the pad, and as you can see, it's only putting it out the one way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go click the symmetric to the plane, and that'll dimension it out the same either way from the center plane. So now you can see that the original shape that we created overlaps with the new object that we've created. So this is exactly what you want. So I'm going to click OK. So you see we've got 2 objects. We've got the pad there, and we've got the loft. And so essentially the final object that I want is really the addition or the contrast of these 2 shapes. So I only want the portion where they overlap, right? And so if you look at your Boolean operations, we have just that. So you see up here that we can take 2 objects and we can make an object out of just the areas where they overlap. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to click the loft, we're going to hold our control button and click the pad to highlight both of them, and then I'm going to use the Boolean operation, make an intersection of the 2 shapes. So it's essentially going to take the overlap of both shapes and keep only the overlapping and get rid of everything else. So I click that, you see that we get just that. So we get our fin shape here. That's not only nice and curved like we had defined, but it's also twisted as well. It's got that bit of a twist on it. So and at this point I don't quite like how straight that is, so I'm going to fillet that a little bit. Maybe put some big arc on it so that's nice and smooth. Maybe even 10. There we go. That's nice. I like that. It's looking a little bit better. Also what I'm going to do is the edges here are really sharp, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually fillet the entire edge there. So I like that. That looks okay. That looks big enough. And then I'm going to also do this other edge here too. I'm going to fillet it. And so as you can see, it's made a nice rounded edge there. And this is just one fin of the entire blade that we're going to do. So now I'm going to do a little bit of an assembly. It's not quite normally what you would do with like SolidWorks or something like that. FreeCAD kind of has a very limited assembly tools, so I think all you can really do is just put things on an axle, so not extremely handy. In SolidWorks you can actually like constrain faces and make coincidences of circles and cylinders and stuff like that, so you can really assemble stuff really quickly. With FreeCAD it can be a little more difficult. sometimes I find myself just moving stuff, dimension by dimension, just adjusting XY coordinates and then rotating things. So that's essentially what we're going to do. So I'm going to save this. We're going to save it as fin2 because I've already made another one there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up another new document. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our fin2 here. And before I get carried away here, you notice that this is still a fillet object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to part and I'm going to convert it to a solid. For some reason, FreeCAD only is able to move and adjust the location of solids for some reason. I'm not really sure why it does that, but that's the way they have it set up. So if you try to copy and paste a fillet over into a new document, you're not going to be able to move it. For some reason it locks it out, and I think that maybe just has to do with since everything else is, predefines the fillet. Like you would have to move, the loft, the pad, the sketch, everything else, right? Whereas the solid, it's just a solid object. It doesn't have anything that's, you can't really change the solid object. It's just a solid object. So I think that's why you can move them around. So we'll save that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come over to your model menu here, and you're going to click on the object that you want to copy. And then you can either go up to edit and copy it, or you can use Control-C, whatever your shorthand is on your keyboard. And then you can go over to your new document. You can go edit, paste. And you'll see that it's been pasted there nicely. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste a couple of them. I'm going to paste 4 of them actually. So you just keep doing that. You can see over here that I've pasted 4 of them. They're being pasted in the same spot, so you can't see that they're being pasted, right? But if I move one of them, the others will still be in the same spot. So, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the placement of these, so where they exist in our space here. So I'm going to leave the first one where it is, and I'm going to rotate the other 2 about the y-axis, right? I'm going to rotate one 90 degrees, I'm going to rotate another 180 degrees, I'm going to rotate the other 270 degrees, right? So since I've pasted 4, there should be 4 fins all 90 degrees to each other. And if you want to do 5 fins, then you would just rotate it, whatever the angle difference is. So 6 fins would be 30 degrees, right? So in order to change placement, you're going to select the object that you want to change placement, and you're going to go edit, and you're going to go down here to placement. You're going to click on placement, and that should bring up this menu here. So if you're doing lots of changes, you may want to select this. So what that does is each time you exit out of this menu, it saves the last step as the original placement. So if you go back to change it again, when you change it 20 degrees, you're just going to add 20 degrees to whatever you had before. Whereas if you don't select that, say you originally made a change of 90 degrees, you go back and then you say, oh, I'm going to add 20 degrees or something, then you'd actually have to do the math for that. So you'd have to know to change the angle to 110 degrees. Whereas if you do incremental, you could change it 90 and then you could go back and change it, put in 20 degrees and it'll just rotate it an additional 20 degrees. So I'm only going to apply one change, so I'm not going to touch that. The axis we want to rotate about, if you look down at your thing here, is the y-axis. So I'm going to select the axis that I want to rotate it about, and then I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees. And so you see that one of them has been rotated 90 degrees. I'm going to click apply, and then I'm going to click OK. And so that was the second object. The third object, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Oops. And go up to edit, placement, y-axis again, except in this case, instead of 90 degrees, I'm going to do 180 degrees. Then I'm going to click apply, click OK. And I'm going to do the same thing for the last solid here. Placement, and instead of Instead of 180 degrees or 90 degrees, I'm going to do it 270, which should be the final position. I'm going to click apply. So now if you look over here, we've got the 4 objects all kind of aligned and orientated at 90 degrees to one another. And it's starting to look like a prop now, which is really handy. And then we can either at this point join them together and just be happy with this, or you can kind of make a cylinder or something to join them with. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to select one of the planes that would be the easiest to make a cylinder in, which is going to be this plane here. It looks like our object wasn't quite fully. Oh, that's just my modeler's kind of being slow. Alright, back to the plane there. Alright, so now I'm going to make a sketch, just like we did before. This is going to be in the ZY plane though, because I want to rotate it about the Y axis. No offset. And I'm going to do just that. That looks fine there. I'm going to make 2 arcs, I think, with this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide some of these, just to kind of give me some space here to work. Make it a little bit easier to see. So attach that right there. And I'm going to make an arc that kind of looks like that maybe. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to put the arc down here. Do something like that. Then I'm going to make another arc that's maybe a little bit longer. Attach it to that one. Attach it back here somewhere. Oops, I exited out of that sketch and come back into it. I'm going to attach this to this line here. And I'm actually going to make this a little transparent because it's a little bit hard to see my sketch there. Oops, I think there we go. Okay, so now I'm back on the sketch here. And so now I'm going to make another line that runs along this right here as well. I might move these out a little bit. Move that out there. Maybe move that down like that. Kind of get kind of a boat prop looking thing here. Move it around until you got something that you like. And once you like it, you can lock it in. Apparently there's a constraint that's already redundant, so I'm going to delete it. I'm not sure why there's 2 points there. Oh, they're not attached, so that would be crucial to have. Make sure that those are attached. And then I'm just going to lock these points in. So I'm going to give this one a dimension here. Give this point a dimension here. Okay, then I'm going to give this a height here. And we've only got 3 degrees of freedom left, so I'm guessing those are the actual diameters here. More than likely, I kind of like where this is going, so I'm just going to save those, and we still got 1 degree of freedom left. Try to move things around and see. So it's obviously where this is here. It needs a horizontal constraint. So there it is there. That's all set. And we're going to close that. And then we're going to take that sketch, and as before, we're going to revolve it to make a solid around the other axes. So we got something that looks like that. And I think that's okay. Looks okay. I'm going to bring up our other objects here just so we can see how it looks. And I'm going to readjust the appearance, and I'm going to make it fully solid again so it's not transparent. So there's our kind of prop-like thing coming together now. So we're pretty close now. So we've got 4 different objects here, and we're going to combine them into one big object. So depending on your system, this may take a little bit. If your computer dims, which mine probably will, even though it's pretty juicy, this still takes quite a bit of processing power. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all these objects. I'm just going to hold this the shift key and click this other one here just to select them all. Or you could just hold control and click them all to select all the objects that you want to combine into one. We're going to go up to our Boolean operations here, and we're going to use the make a union. So this will submerge all of the objects that you see there and make them all one. So as you can see, this might take a little bit and the screen might dim here. Core temperature's coming up again. And this is pretty normal. FreeCAD will dim here while it tries to, and it, for some reason, I don't know if it can multi-thread, or it seems to be only using one core, so that may be why it takes so long. And my cores are running at much more than they're probably running at 3.5 gigahertz or something right now. So hopefully this shouldn't take too long. But once it's done, you'll have one solid object, and it should be good to go. And hopefully there's no weird glitches or anything like that. Sometimes there can be. FreeCAD's nice, but for really advanced things, it can sometimes make glitches. But it appears everything's worked out real nicely, and so this is made one giant object of a prop fin kind of like thing, torpedo looking thing, and it's made it into one big object, so which is nice. And then we can take that fusion and we can actually convert it to a solid if we want to. And now we've got a solid object here that you could either export as a step file if you wanted to do FEM analysis on it, which I may write a tutorial about using Z88 Aurora or something like that, or you can even start editing it. So I'm gonna hide the old object. So maybe I want to smooth some of these things out. I'm not sure if this will fillet or not, or chamfer, because it's pretty curvy, but we'll give it a shot here and we'll see what it does. So yeah, it seems to be able to do that. So it's made a nice curve all the way around, kind of smoothing that out. Let's see how big we can make it. Maybe we can make it like 3 or something. Yeah, it doesn't mind that, so we're going to do that. Click OK. I'm going to do the same for the other objects here, assuming I can click on the line there. There we go. I'm going to round that as well. See my core temperature's coming up there. Got some good processing going on here. Do 3 mils like that, and do the other side too. Assuming I can click on that. With fillets, sometimes you can do more than 2 at a time. It depends. Most of the time you can't. The only way you'll know is that it just won't show it being done. Yeah, in my experience, sometimes it will do 2. In this case, it seems to be doing it, so that's good. Which is nice. But if you have tons of objects, if you try 4 or 5, you just might not have the processing power, and it might load up, or it just might not even do it for you. So there you have it. There's our kind of boat-like fin. And we used our really nice, and we can give it a color if we want. I'll make it an object since we've filleted it, or sorry, filleted it. We'll make it into a solid. Name it whatever you want. Prop. And so you could make turbines and stuff like that with this as well, which I have done in the past. So very handy tool, the lofting tool. You can make really complicated objects with this quite easily, actually. And you could really define the angle of twist, and you could actually have multiple ones in there if you wanted to. And you could do lots of stuff with it for sure. You could make really complicated rotors if you wanted to. Really complicated fins and stuff like that. So, I mean, it doesn't really take you that long either. It's got really nice software for doing this. So, very nice indeed. So, you're done that. You can save it, or you can export it to a step file or whatever you want. Change its color. You can change it to whatever you want. Oops, close. And you're good to go. And there's it spinning in action. So, all right. So, yeah, if that's pretty much the end of my tutorial here. You can make your basic fins by yourself, and then you can in the end make a prop. So good luck with the rest of your CAD work. And I think the next tutorial I'll probably look at making maybe helical structures or something like that. So if you wanted to make something more standard like a bolt or a nut or something like that, you may have to either loft about a path, or you may need to build a structure about a path. So I will get that in the making for you. Alright, thanks for watching.